What's going on, everyone? Alex de Silva. I hope you are well and you're having an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. So, this is now part three. Part three, if you've been listening to one and two, then this is me talking about my cauda equina syndrome journey. And if you're watching this on video, excuse the change in position. I have to change positions because of the muscle because I don't have any muscles in the back of my legs. It gets very uncomfortable sitting down for long periods of time, but I'm sure you don't care. So, and to be honest, neither do I. If you're on audio, you won't care anyway because you can't see me. So, as I was talking about that ward J2, they kept talking to me about it, and they were talking to me about this ward that I was going to go to, and the physio there was incredible and it's very intensive. And to be honest, a lot of the times people that go to J2, they'll have like an intensive 2 week, sometimes a little bit more, and people they go home and then continue their journey. So I'm excited. I'm really, really excited because I'm doing my exercises, I'm upping my game. The physios, because I banged the table and I got angry a number of times, they started to bring. So this is about 3 weeks in now. The third week in, I kicked off with them. And during this process, so this is where things change. So 3 weeks in, I kicked off, and on Monday, week 3, they bought a bike in. And I was happy. I was happy as Larry. I was happy as Larry because I love exercising, and bikes is something that I used to like. Static bikes. I did a lot of work on those when I was doing CrossFit. I did a lot of them, on the air bike, the road bike, on the Concept 2 bike erg. So I did a lot of that. So one of the things for me, which I'll mention, I forgot to say, my legs went from being strong. I had strong legs, and I kind of mentioned it, a couple of episodes before. I was able to squat, very heavy. I've always, have had strong legs. I've always had, doing martial arts, so on and so forth. So I've always had power in my legs, explosive power, strong power, strength power as well. And so I went from walking around between 85 to 87 kilos. That's like my ideal weight. And I jumped on a scale and I dropped within post-op, 2 weeks of post-op or whatever it was, or a week. I can't even remember now. It doesn't matter. I dropped 6 kilos. I went down to 81 kilos, 81 kilos. And I laughed. I was gobsmacked, but I also laughed because I looked at my tiny little legs, and, my bum went from being strong glutes, strong legs, to literally my bum was like a little, it was like a soggy tea bag. Like it was honestly, it's gone. It was gone. And I laugh about it now. I laugh with my wife, and I'm laughing now because sometimes I do catch myself in a mirror, and I still laugh now. I'm like, oh man, my glutes have gone. They're gone because they just switch off. And honestly, that's something that for me just blew my mind. How the muscles, when it switches off, it's gone. Now I'm rebuilding things, and this is kind of the hard work, is rebuilding everything back up. So here we are, week 3. They bring me a bike, and I'm happy. They chucked me on this bike for half an hour, gave me like an intense, kind of workout. 2 minutes rest, not rest, 2 minutes slow, 1 minute fast, and I crank up the intensity, and and so I'm loving life. I'm loving life. And then comes middle of the week, I'm then doing my exercises. I'm now walking with the frame. I've got, I'm trying to get my steps in, and, doing everything that I can just to keep improving. Every day, I'm going further and further and further. Started out by going from my bed to the toilet and back, and then did that a number of times. And then went from, doing the toilet trips to then walking to the end of the hall, which was, the end of the ward, which was a long, a nice, decent walk. And then started walking the whole ward to eventually walking from my ward all the way down to the concourse, which is a 10 to 20 minute walk. I don't really know. I don't you know, I wasn't really using a watch, so I couldn't really time, but it was a decent walk. Yeah, between kind of 10 to 20 minutes. I don't know. So that was a huge leap. Within, 3 to 4 weeks, I started really challenging myself because I could feel it. I felt that I was doing good. So I, started to really challenge myself in that way. And so the plan was to go to J2. So Lucy and I, one day, we were together on our own. She surprised me. She turned up. She had the weekend to herself because, as I said, my mom and dad were amazing, amazing. They would take the kids for the weekend. They would take them on a Friday, and then Lucy will go and pick them up on Sunday morning, and then she'd come and see me. And one weekend where she didn't have the kids, she was going to go and do something with the girls. She was going to go and do like a breath work, I think retreat or something like that. She was going to go doing some really lovely like self-care. And she turned up, and she just turned up and surprised me, and I burst into tears, and she burst into tears, and it was so, we spent the day together, and honestly, it was the best. We had like a little date together at the hospital. We went to the concourse, and these little things I never forget. I'll never forget this experience. As tough and horrid as it was, I would never forget these things because there are so many beautiful moments that if we are not conscious or mindful of them, they get swept by the negativity. And it's so easy sometimes for us to be so engrossed and so covered by that dark cloud of negativity, pain, anger, resentment, self-pity, everything. You're just in this bubble of fear that we miss these beautiful things. We miss these beautiful moments, and Lucy then turned up, and we had this really wonderful, wonderful time together. So we then that day took a little stroll to J2. So we went to J2 because we wanted to manifest it. They're talking about it all the time. Even now, this is in my notes as well. The doctors are telling me, the physios are telling me, everyone's talking about it, even the specialist nurse. They're talking about J2, J2, J2. So I'm like, wow, okay, we're going. All right, so this is the next step. So I go there to visualize J2. I'm manifesting this. I'm manifesting myself every day that I'm walking out of here stronger than I came in. And that's part of the journey. So I went there to see it. We saw a nurse, and we were like, she wasn't really too sure what. I said, look, we just came in here just to manifest. Apparently I'm supposed to be coming here next from the ward that I was in. And she's like, oh, don't worry. And she sort of said, oh, do you want me to kind of show you around? She's like, feel free just to, to go and have a look. And we did. So I had that place in my mind. I can still now, it's so vivid. I literally put it in my mind so much that I can even see it now. I know exactly what it looks like. So we go back to the ward, and then, so again, week 3, which is where we are now. And I get so we're talking about, so here are the possibilities. I'm going to J2. This is what I'm thinking is the number one option. The next is to get accepted by Stoke Mandeville as an inpatient, to get inpatient care. Now that seems to be obviously the top, because obviously their care is incredible. And once you're in with Stoke, then you kind of stay with Stoke. So let's go. Like I'm all in, whatever the best options are. Because for me now, I want to get out of here. I'm getting to the point now where I'm missing my family, I'm missing the children, I'm missing my friends, I'm missing going. I need to be outside of just going to the ward, walking up and down the hall, going to the concourse when people come to visit me. I need to be more now. I want to do more. Now, I'm not trying to rush myself out because I know that that's just going to cause me pain, but I am being patient, and I'm just keeping things simple. I keep things just one day at a time. That's it. No more, no less, nothing else. One of the things I did is I said to myself, and I set myself a goal, I wrote it on my phone. It's my son's 2nd birthday on the 15th of November, 2023. And I said to myself, I will be home by the 10th of November, 2023. So I put that on my phone, and that's my goal. And again, you will not tell me otherwise. I will be home for my son's birthday, because my son's birthday is on the 15th. Mine is 10 days later. And my eldest daughter, she's going to be 19 a week after me. So our birthdays are happening pretty much back to back. And I am not missing any of them, including mine. I don't care if I'm going to be 43. I'm celebrating life. So I'm going home. And that's my goal. That's my attitude with life. I'm going home. I'm celebrating. This is me. And so we're talking about J2, and this is happening. I'm great, because I'm now going, what the hell's going on? Because I'm getting frustrated. I'm starting to get annoyed. I'm starting to, kind of lose my patience with certain things, because again, they're not funded properly. They don't have the staff. They're not able to, they're not capable of, because when they do turn up, they are really good, great when they turn up. To when they provide the service, they're good. Specialist nurses, physios, everybody. So I get a phone call, because the plan, or what's been happening in the background, is they want to get me into Stoke Mandeville. They kind of updated and said, there's a possibility where I might be outpatient. And we're looking at timelines. And by this point now, I'm going, listen, I've been here for 3 weeks. You guys aren't really giving me anything solid. And I said, I need to start seeing action. I need to start seeing timelines. I need to start seeing what the hell's going on, because, again, I'm feeling like, because they kind of pull their finger out and then they stagnate, and I had to stay on top of it, because otherwise, again, if I just accept that that's how it is, I'm going to be there for months. And I've seen it. I see it with other people. I've seen it with other people that, if they don't ask for their needs, they just moan and moan and moan. Nothing happens. A lot of the times, if you're a moaner, if you get angry and you get frustrated, like in a negative way, a lot of the times they'll just ignore you. They'll just ignore you, because you're not speaking your needs. You're not letting them know what you need. And if you let people know what you need, and you make that boundary very clear, and you're making these things very clear, if they then don't respond, if they then don't do the things that they're supposed to, you are within your rights to get annoyed, to bang the table, to message pals, whatever it may be, to escalate it. So I get a phone call. So this is where we are, week 3. I get a phone call from Stoke Mandeville, which I'm really gobsmacked by, because, we're trying to get in there as an inpatient. And if I get in there as an inpatient, I immediately then qualify for J2. So I'm like, I don't care. Either way, I'm excited. Let's go. Let's just get in. I want to get the physio. I want to get the help. I want to get to the next steps. And I randomly get this phone call from Stoke Mandeville. I'm like, wow, this is exciting. Hi, Mr. Silva. This is so-and-so from Stoke. Just to let you know, you've been accepted as an outpatient. I'm like, outpatient? Because we're having a conversation about being an inpatient. I was like, and this is what I said to her. I said, I thought I'm going in as an inpatient. And they said, no, you don't qualify because of X, Y, and Z. I said, okay. So we start having a conversation, and she keeps repeating the word discharged, about me being discharged, about them preparing my discharge. And I'm going, discharge? What the hell are you talking about? Discharge? What? How am I being discharged? And I kept saying to her, I cannot be discharged. I can't do stairs. If I get discharged and I go home, I'm stuck at home. If I cannot do stairs, you will not discharge me. I will not be discharged. And I kept saying these things to her. And I don't know if there was something was broken in communication or whatever it may be. But first and foremost, why I started to get annoyed by is, why the hell am I receiving a phone call from the service provider? And why is the person, the specialist nurse, not come to me and told me this news? So this is where I was a little bit like, hang on a second, what the hell is going on? Why are you phoning me? So I had a conversation with the lady, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, no worries. All right, see you soon, bye. Put the phone down, voice note Lucy at the time, because a few things started to happen, and we started to voice note each other, because I had to now start to be a little bit mindful around negligence. So we started voice noting things to each other, just to make sure that we're covering our bases. Not that that's the kind of person I am, But when it comes down to self-care, I prioritize me as number one. And that's how everybody should be. You should always be number one, especially when you're under that care. You've got to look after yourself. You cannot be dictated to by anybody on what you should or shouldn't be doing. Your health is number one priority, and you have to do whatever you can in your power, because it's within your rights to make sure that you get the care that you deserve. That's it. And if you don't do it, I've seen it in the time that I've been there, you will not get it. They will bluff you. They will give you all of this jargon and spill, especially the doctors. They're like politicians. Again, do great work. I'm not bashing anybody, but if you're not careful, and I've seen this being done to other people, where they'll give them all this spill, and the husband's there and he's ill, he's not well, the wife's there, and the doctors are giving them all this spill, and all they're doing is they're just nodding and accepting what they're being told. And then all of a sudden, they don't really understand what's being said, and then they get told something else a day or so later, and they're like, what the hell? How's that? Because they didn't listen. They weren't actively listening. You've got to actively listen to when these people were speaking to you, because they will give you a load of stuff, like the consultant when I first came in. And I'm going to get to what happened with that after what's happened here with Stoke. I'm going to tell you what's happened, where he said, oh, you'll be home by Friday. Remember that? So I get on the phone I sent Lucy that voice note, and I message Pals straight away. So Pals here at the hospital that I was in, and I'm sure it might be in maybe other hospitals as well, is where you can escalate things. So if something urgent happens or something doesn't happen, you can escalate it to them, and they escalate it, and things generally get looked at pretty quickly. So I sent them an email. Lucy phones them. Within 5 minutes, I kid you not, within 5 minutes, one of the head nurses, who I will not name, but she's amazing. All the nurses there are amazing, by the way, all of them. They've been incredible. Her in particular, and there is another one, the two head nurses, which I will not name, but they are incredible. And there's been other nurses who have been the same. But I'm mentioning these two head nurses because they looked after me. They had my back with a lot of stuff. Why? Because I made my needs clear. I spoke to them with respect. When they realized where I was annoyed or I was frustrated, I didn't start screaming and shouting and hollering and swearing. They knew by the tone of my voice that I was annoyed and I'm frustrated. And if something doesn't get done, I'm going to then lose my temper. So this lady comes over and she said, hi, Alex, just to let you know, something's been escalated and made to my attention. And I had a conversation and said to her, yeah, I'm fuming. I'm just going to let you know now, I'm fuming because I got a phone call from Stoke, went through, exactly as I described to you at what happened. And she's like, oh, okay. So obviously, because Lucy then phoned in as well, she says, I know that your wife also phoned in and she's requested a meeting. I went, yeah. I said, I need to understand what the hell is going on. Why is the service provider phoning me? Why is everybody telling me that I'm going to J2? And why the hell am I being told that I'm being discharged? What the is going on? What is going on? So as you can imagine, there's a patient being told by a service provider that I'm being discharged and I've been accepted as an outpatient, which means I have to then go home to wait for that to kick in, which can take up to 3 months. I haven't tested stairs at this point. So I'm fuming and I'm worried because I know all of a sudden they'll come to you and go, right, so you're going to be discharged today, and then they'll do your paperwork and you're off home. So we escalated this very quickly. So she then goes off. I made my point, said a few things. I said, yeah, I need to see the consultant. I need to see the specialist nurse. I need to see the physio, basically all the people that have been involved in this. I need to know what the hell's going on. What the hell's going on now? So the specialist nurse comes in. So bear in mind, we were talking about J2 before. Hollering and, manifesting J2, J2, J2. All the physios are talking about it. Everyone's mentioning it. Yeah, and even a doctor came up to me and says, yeah, it's on your notes. He's reading it to me. Yeah, it's on your notes. That's the next plan. I'm supposed to be, apparently next on the list to go. This is what's been said. So the specialist nurse turns up. I told her what happened. I said, what the hell's going on? Why are you not telling me this? What the fuck's happening with, the fact that I'm being discharged? What's all this all about? I thought I'm going to J2. So we then start having a conversation. And she tells me flippantly, out of the blue, 3 weeks in, oh, you don't qualify for J2. I went, say that again. She went, yeah, you don't qualify for J2. And I went, why? Oh, because you're not local. You're not local to the hospital. So because you're out of the radius, the catchment area, I don't qualify for J2. I lost my shit. I went, so why the hell, I said the F word, why the hell has nobody told me this? Why is everybody telling me that that's where I'm going? I'm going to J2. This is what's happening. You're next on the list. Even you're telling me I'm going to J2. What the hell's going on? And I'm fuming by this point because she's the specialist nurse that has been involved in this whole thing in getting me to this outpatient rehab and getting all of these things sorted, everything else, blah, 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 blah. And the physio, the consultant, this individual, this lady, they're all supposed to be communicating as far as I'm concerned, because the message, as it's being told to me, is very consistent. This is what's happening. These are the other options, but this is what's happening. This is where you're going. I now get told 3 weeks in that I don't even qualify for it. So I can't even go. I'm not even going there. Not even going there. That's not even an option now. So as you can imagine, I hit the roof because I'm 3 weeks in, and I said to her, by this point, there is people in the ward. There are people on the ward. There are families there, but I didn't care because the number one thing is she lied for 3 weeks. And I said to her, you lied to me for 3 weeks. Everybody here has lied to me for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, everybody lied. And I said, why the hell did you not tell me this from the beginning? I said, you especially, why did you not tell me? Because you said about J2, you mentioned it time and time again. She went, oh, I don't like telling people until we have another plan in place. And I went, are you fucking kidding me? I said, so you lie to your patients until you have something else in place. I said, why didn't you just tell me that in the first place? So I didn't go to J2. I didn't keep manifesting it. Everybody else didn't keep telling me. If I had known from the beginning, I knew that that was not an option. What we would have done instead is, let's look at the things that are viable. What am I entitled to? Let's look at that stuff now. So we're not waiting 3 weeks in. We're doing it week one, day one. So as you can imagine, I was not happy with the situation. And things happened that day. Things started to happen that day because then the consultant then turns up. So she leaves and she has to get this sorted now. I said, this is not even, I said, you need to communicate with me as much as you possibly can, because I need to understand what the hell is going on. You are not going to keep me here for another 3 weeks where I know nothing. So whatever you need to do to get me into J2 or to get me into Stoke or I don't care, Timbuktu, but you need to put a plan in and you need to tell me what that plan is. And it's got to be a solid plan. And I want to know exactly what the steps are going to be. She went off and did exactly what she needed to do. And hats off to her. She did what she needed to do. As much as I lost my temper, she pulled it off, and I'll give that to her for sure. So then the physio comes in, we're having the same conversation, and I'm like, listen, you guys need to step your game up because this is what's happened. What the hell is going on? You guys are not showing up. I need to be able to do stairs now, so pull your fingers out and you need to show up twice a week now. You're showing up. No, none of this. If you can't do it, you need to tell me. I don't need to know a time. I don't need to know anything. If I see you guys popping in and out and you haven't seen me, you better come and see me and tell me, listen, we're coming to see you today. We're coming to see you tomorrow. I don't care now because this has gone so far that you're taking a mick. Do you know what I mean? Again, you have to prioritize yourself. If you do not prioritize yourself, you will not get what you need. And being in hospital, you have to make sure that your needs are being met. You are the patient. You are the patient. And if you don't do these things, if you don't make yourself heard, you will get ignored. You will get ignored. And a lot of people don't say these things. And often or not, they do get ignored. And a lot of people do get left there and they don't get the treatment. They don't get the care. And I've seen it time and time again in groups. I've seen it in other places, and I'm learning more and more and more about cauda equina syndrome. And I'm seeing it more and more and more with people that have been left, people that have not received the care that they need. Even now, they've lost control of the bladder, of the bowels. Everything has gone numb and they still haven't been operated on. Some people that I've seen, stories that have been weeks, months, you get 24 hours. Once you lose bladder and bowel control, it's a 20. This is not a game. It's a timing tick bomb. You've got 48 hours. Now, I don't know enough about this, and it's so rare, so rare. Now, from the stories that I've heard in the groups that I'm in, speaking to consultants, we have a consultant that my wife works with, who's a consultant spinal surgeon in London, who has been incredible to us, has done these procedures before, knows all about it, has given us all the information that we need and more, especially to my wife. So a lot of this information that I'm sharing, it's coming from very, very reliable and professional sources, as well as people who are going through it, have been through it and are going through it. So when that kind of negligence starts to happen, you've got two choices: sit back and let it happen, or get assertive, take control, and make sure that you're being looked after. Now, this applies to anything in life. You've got to take control of your life, especially when it comes to you as an individual. When it comes to your mind, body, spirit, health, you are number one. Nothing on a planet matters, because if you start to prioritize everything else, you won't have anything else. Everything else around you will suffer. If you are not in the best condition you can possibly be, you will not be able to positively affect anything else in your life. Everything else in your life will also be affected by this. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Every case is so different and so rare. So I'm not speaking around every case, because even the professionals don't even know. And I'm going to get to in a second about the conversation I had with a consultant. So I spoke to the physio. She took massive action again, went off. We made a plan. She went off, started speaking to some people, because I've been accepted as an outpatient at Stoke. So now I need to get care for when I go home. And I also need to do stairs. I need to start looking at doing stairs. So let's get to the next level now. And I need to make sure that I'm being looked after as I'm meant to. Off she goes, and again, delivers. So the consultant then comes in. Mr. Consultant, every time I see him, he says to me, "I can't believe you're still here." So he comes in week 3, says it again, and it was the wrong fucking thing to say to me, considering the position that I was in and everything that's been happening. And he says to me, "Can't believe that you're here." And I went, "Yeah, funny that, because after you operated on me, you told me that I'll be out of here by Friday, that I will be walking within 2 to 3 weeks, that I'd be driving within a month, and I'd be back at the gym within 12 weeks. And you should have seen his face. I could see he just tightened up. His eyes literally just bulked, almost just popped out of his eyes, and he just started mumbling, and didn't know what to say. And then until his brain kicked in, he's like, "Whoa!" And now the conversation is, every person is very different. You know, his case now is case by case basis, but before, he was very happy to tell me that I will be out of there by Friday. I'll be walking within a couple of weeks. I'll be driving within X amount of time. I'll be back in the gym within 12 weeks. Now it's a very different story, because the word has obviously got round now with what's been happening, and now it's kicked off. So I'm having a conversation with him and I'm saying to him, so what the hell's going on now? Because here's my problem. I'm doing all of these exercises. And at the time, I started to get some pain going down my right leg. And I started to get numbness coming back into my foot, my right foot. This is on my right side. So I started to get slightly concerned. And he's giving me maybes and, this story and that story and potentially and blah, blah, blah. And I went to him, listen to me again. Listen very carefully to when you're speaking to a doctor or a consultant, because they're very quick to say, well, it's all case by case basis, and things can be very different, and this is to be expected, so on and so forth. And I said to him, nothing that you said to me there has given me any proof or confidence that everything has gone okay. You told me that post-op everything has gone okay. I need proof. I need proof, facts. You're not giving me any facts. So I want an MRI scan. I want you to look at inside and make sure 110% that everything is okay, that I'm good as gold. Because as far as I'm concerned, for the 3 weeks I've been here, you guys have done the bare minimum. Bare minimum. So he goes in, and this is the thing, when you listen carefully, they memorize certain things that they tell you. These are just medical jargon. And if you don't listen or you don't challenge it, they're just going to bluff their way out of the situation. And again, it was ifs and buts and maybes. There was no facts. And I said to him again, have you looked inside me post-op? No. So you don't know. Everything you've told me so far has been ifs or buts. Everything that has happened up until this point has been negligence. There is massive negligence going on here. And as soon as you mention those words, their ears prick up and their eyes open. Why? Because they all of a sudden can be held liable in a court of law. Again, not that I'm the kind of person that's going to start taking people or threatening anybody. Oh, you didn't do this to me, so I'm going to sue you. I don't give a monkeys about that. I care about my health. I want to make sure that underneath, inside me, the structure of my body, the spine, where I've been operated on, it's all good. We're good. There were no issues. Peace of mind. Facts. And I pushed and pushed. And eventually he said to me, we'll have an MRI scan done this afternoon. I went, thank you. He leaves. Within the hour, the guy comes back. Your MRI is going to be done within the hour. I said, cool. Thank you so much. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, and this was in the morning, by that time, I went and did the MRI scan. The results came back. Yep, all good. Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Can I get a copy of it? Yes. Just drop these guys an email. They'll send you a copy. Done. You've got to push for your health. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's cauda equina syndrome. It doesn't matter what it is. When it comes down to you, are you prioritizing yourself? Are you putting yourself in a position where you are doing everything that you can to be 100% fit in mind, body, spirit? Because if you don't do these things, you are going to struggle. You're going to struggle, and you don't deserve that. And I see it time and time again. One of the things I see because of this condition, this is a hard condition. This is not easy. It is not easy. It takes work because there is no timeline to this. And by the way, remember I said to myself, I'm getting out of here by the 10th of November, 2023. Today is the 8th of November, 2023. And I'm talking to you from my house, from my place, in my living room. I came home over a week ago. I arrived in my house a week ago on Monday. Monday evening, I walked into my house with a friend, but I walked into my house. Why? because I never diverted, never changed my mind, never believed anybody else's doubts, even the physiotherapist, the head physiotherapist. I worked with her a number of times. She's amazing. She's lovely, and she supported me a number of times as well. And she was the one that actually said to me, listen, we're really understaffed. I'm so sorry. Please, she actually said to me, please complain so that we get the support that we need, which is why I did. And a lot of the nurses there and the specialists say the same thing. Please complain so we can improve our services. So it's not the fact that they don't want to do it. It's the fact that, and this is a completely different story, that the NHS is not funded, it's not supported in the way that it's supposed to. So I do take my hat off to every single person, even the consultants, even the doctors, every single person who made a change. Unfortunately, I had to shout about it. I had to make it known. I had to stand up for myself. I had to be assertive. But that's sad that it has to get to that point. And this is not just me. There are other people in the ward, because they saw what I did. They end up having to do the exact same thing to get results. So, the head physio, towards the end, let's fast forward the 2 weeks that I was there. So all of these things happen week 3. So we're now peace of mind. Week 4, they come back and they say to me, okay, look, we've gone off. Stoke came back and said to us that we're not accepting you as an inpatient, we're accepting you as an outpatient. I went, cool, I'm good with that. Let's go with it. Let's accept it. Let's get in. How long is it going to take? Up to 3 months. Cool. Can we now get the ball rolling for me to get out of here? So this is now week 4. I want to get out of here. You need to do what you need to do in order for that to happen. So now occupational therapists come in and they do what they need to do with me. They do the test. They take me to the loo. They get me to walk. They test a load of stuff. They start to ask me what my living arrangements are like, the things that I'm going to need. And then I had another lady who came over just to ask about equipment, other things as well. And things then started to move fairly quickly. The physio then did exactly the same thing. We then came up with a plan. She said, look, we've got 2 options here. I can either get you in for, I think it's a 2-week or 12-week intensive care. It's like an inpatient care, like physio care, somewhere local to where I am. I said, okay, well, how long is that going to take? She went, unfortunately, it's not immediate. It can take, a few weeks, potentially, a few months. I said, okay, can I wait at home for that? She went, no, you have to be in hospital. I went, absolutely not. No, I'm not staying in hospital waiting for this to manifest. Find me something externally that can support me whilst I'm at home. So that was the option. So she went off, made a load of contacts, came back. The plan's there. So we're now, coming up towards the end of week 4, and everybody's going off. Now we're having conversations of, oh, you're going home on Monday. Now, I'm not holding my breath considering everything that's happened throughout the previous weeks, but I am getting a little bit excited because here's what happened. One of the physios, and they know me by now, they bring me a bike every Monday. And so this is 3 weeks now. They've been bringing me this bike. And every week, they've been cranking the intensity. I'm one of these people that I like to challenge myself. If you haven't picked that one up just yet. So the first time I went on a bike, I got to probably like intensity 10 on a bike, 10, 11, something like that. So when the lady came in to drop the bike again, the physio, she went, what did you do the last time? I can't lie. So I went, oh, I got up to about 10. She went, good, we're going to start you on 10. And she went, and I expect you to go up. I was like, you were taking a mick. But I was like, let's go. So I finished week 2, or the second time they brought the bike over, on about 13, I think it was, over the half an hour. Starting on 10 is hard when you haven't warmed up and your legs are not exactly 100%. And bearing in mind, When I first got on a bike, I started on about 5. So going from 5 to 10 and then starting on 10, I was like, oh, I see you. I know what you're doing. And it's the same workout. So you start 2 minutes slow, 5 minutes fast. And my fast is I'm going all out for the minute and then I'm resting 2 minutes. So that's how I've done these intensive training sessions. So when I go all out, I blow out for the minute and then I rest for the 2 minutes for half an hour. So that was my workout and I loved it. I'm sweating. Come the last one, she she brings up, because again, I can't lie. I said I got to 13 the last time. She went, okay, I'm going to start you on 12. So she started me on 12 and I finished on 15, which was the Monday that I was going to go home. So she blitzed me, but it was good. I love it. I love that kind of stuff. So, those guys did, some amazing work. But one of the things that they did, I was having a little snooze one afternoon and they bought a wooden step. So, and they left it on my bedside table. So they know what I'm like. And I woke up and I'm like, what the hell's that? And I realized it was a step. And this is week 4, coming towards the end of week 4. And they left me a step. So I was like, oh, and this is, I think it was Monday afternoon or something like that, Monday, Tuesday. So it was early week 4. I'm buzzing. So I'm like, I'm not going to wait for them to come the next day to do the stairs. Like, I'm doing it now. So you don't leave this here. It's almost like leaving a box of M&Ms, Ferrero Rocher, or, like some, cookie dough ice cream next to me and go, oh, don't eat it. I'd failed those tests that they used to do on kids where they leave them with a biscuit or sweets. I'd be the one that eats it all. That's why I have an addiction. I had an addiction to food. Today, probably not too bad. I can probably, I could last maybe an hour or so and then I'll have some. But I'm one of these people. So when I'm geeked out about something, I'm all in. So I got out of bed, put my splints on. I got new splints now. So I'm feeling good. My splints are helping me walk better because I was bending my knees a little bit when I was walking. These ones are helping to walk a little bit more natural. So I'm starting to feel good. Like, I'm now feeling good. Like I said, I've walked down to that concourse, which is 10, 15 minutes twice now. And, I'm getting into a good rhythm. I'm feeling good. So I get this box, and this thing is heavy. So I put the frame down. There's like, the frames on the side of the hospital beds. I put this thing down. I grab hold of this box and I put it on the floor. I put it close to the bed. I got splints on by this point. I go to the end of the bed. I lift the bed up, to a position where I can hold it. And I start taking steps, mate. I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm going. Because if I can do 10 steps, I can do 2 flights of stairs. That's me. I'm done. If I can do those, I knew I can do it. Because 10 to me is no different than 50. If I can do 10 steps, I can do 50. I can do 100. It's that simple. It may take me a little bit of time. I'm going to have to rest if I have to, but I know I can do it because my legs are working enough that I can do it. I did 10. No sweat. 10. Honestly, I was over the moon. And I made friends with people on the ward. There's a guy in front of me. He's wonderful. Oh, what a lovely man. I really, really, really love him. And we were having conversations and he saw me. He saw me put the steps down. I went, look, it's the steps. And he saw me doing it. And he could see my face because we started talking about going home. And he was the same. He had been in there for a little while and he's now better. And we were motivating each other to walk. And when I saw him walking, when I saw him getting up, and he then now started going to the toilet, he started having a shower. And I kept saying to him, yes, well done, keep going. And this is the thing that I really want to make a point of. You need to have people in your life. If you don't have people immediately in your life, find a group that will do that for you. There are people. You are never, ever, ever, ever alone in the world. There are 8 billion people in this world. You will never, ever be on your own. That is an excuse. If you say, oh, I can't find anybody that can help me, that's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. You can find anyone. And I tell you now, when I got home, I made a bit of a mistake that I made a food order, and it was a big one. And I'm using the frame. I can't pick anything up. I can wheel myself up just to the door. I can walk to the door and but I can't carry anything. The guy that came up and dropped the food was an absolute gentleman. Not only did he bring the food in, he kind of put the crates where it needed to be for me to be able to, put things aside and then eventually be able to put it away with ease. There is always one person in the world that will help you. In a planet with 8 billion people, that is not an excuse. There is always going to be somebody that will help you. And when you find that person, buzz with them. Help each other to get through it. Help each other to motivate yourselves. Help each other to go through the tough times. Help each other to talk through the things that you're struggling with. Him and I will talk about, shit in the bed, piss in the bed, especially as men. Men don't talk about this in a pub. They don't talk about this. I'm talking about it now very openly because I know that there will be men out there who may be going through this now or in the future, who may be in hospital for a completely different reason, but may need to listen to this, being on the ward and going, what the hell do I do now? How am I going to overcome this? You can overcome anything. It's mind over matter. That is a fact. I never used to believe that. And then eventually, when you get put in a situation like this, and I've been through several now, where I've been through addiction when I was a child, and that's a different story, but I'll touch on it very briefly now. When I was a child, I was about 9, 10 years old. And it was around about the time before I came to the UK. I had chickenpox when I was a child, as most kids do. And as you know, chickenpox pop out, little scabs, and eventually, you get treated and you get through it. Done. It's gone. You might have little scars and whatever as a kid, and then that's it. It's done. I got chickenpox again when I was about 10 years old. I came to the UK when I was 11, so I was about 10 years old, because I remember it being not too long before I came to the UK. So I got chickenpox, but the chickenpox didn't break outwards, or it wasn't shingles. My chickenpox broke inwards. So the little sores that you get from the chickenpox, they burst inside, which that in itself is so rare, so rare. I have never heard of a case since. I spoke to someone recently when we went to a restaurant that we go to regularly. The manager saw me there. He saw me walking from the toilet, and we were having a conversation. And I said to him, "Oh, I've been through a few things in my life." And I told him this chickenpox story, and he said, "Oh my God." He's from India, and he only knows one case, which was someone in his family where the exact same thing happened, and also they almost died. And that's the only other time where I wasn't hospitalized, but I went to hospital a number of times. And I almost died because people couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And I kept going in because I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat. And as a child, thank God that, again, I was healthy and I was a bit plump then. I had a bit of weight on me. And because I had that little bit of weight, obviously I survived. I was doing okay, but I started to lose weight very quickly. I didn't eat for 10 days. Didn't eat, couldn't drink anything for that time. Very, very little, because the chickenpox burst all the way down my throat on the inside and all the way down, all the way to my stomach. Completely broke out, and I couldn't eat, couldn't drink anything. So it's critical, very critical. And we were getting to the point where we were going to different hospitals in my city, in Londrina, in Brazil. And my family were losing hope, because I kept going on drips just to hydrate me, to give me the things that I need. But nobody could diagnose me. They kept giving me different drugs, different things. Nothing was happening. And I remember as a little boy, getting down on my knees and praying. I'm not religious by any means, but something inside me, I just went down on my knees as a 10-year-old boy, and I said, I remember vaguely saying, "Please, God, don't let me die. Like, please help me to heal, because, I just want to be better again." Somewhere along those lines. And my nana, who's passed away now, she saw me praying, because I did it on my own. There was nobody around, but I was so scared by this point that the only thing I did, I just prayed, because I was so scared. And I was a 10-year-old boy, didn't know what to do. And the only thing I could do at that time, my family were, Catholic, and they were religious, was just I just had that. That's the one thing I did. I just prayed. And then eventually we went to another hospital because we had been through pretty much every hospital in my city, bar this one. And we turn up at this place, and I'm in a hospital bed because I'm fainting now because I'm so weak. And eventually a doctor sees me, and he looked at me and he went, "Open your mouth." And he saw me, dragged me into his room, looked at me again, did a full search, and he went, "This is what he's got. You need to give him this." Never saw this man ever again. Never saw him ever again. Within days, this thing has started to go. I could drink. I started to eat. I started eating super noodles. I love super. And this is super noodles before I think it was like massively shit. And that's the only thing I could eat because it was so soft. And obviously, back then you can make it with the nice juices. And that's how I started to get a little bit of energy. Then I went back to having my full, proper nutrition. And then from then I just, thrived. So I've been through, some rare situations in my life, and now going through the cauda equina journey. Speaking to anybody that's going through this journey, you've got to take responsibility for yourself. And I know it's hard. I know it's painful. I know it's not easy. I'm at home now, and I'll talk about this on the next episode, that it takes time. It takes time. I set myself a goal that I'll be home by the 10th of November. Yes, I got here before that. Am I walking freely with no crutches or anything like that? No, I'm walking with a frame. But am I stronger than where I went in there? Absolutely. My mindset is bulletproof. Bulletproof. Something in that operation changed me. I came out of there, and as much as as I talked about in the first episode, with feeling scared, I'm looking down on myself and I'm paralyzed and I'm going, am I ever going to walk again? I don't know. I knew there was a peace of mind. There was just a peace. Something was just peaceful in my body. And I remember just continuing every single day to say to myself, I'm walking out of here stronger than I came in. Another thing I say, even today, I say to myself, when I go to the toilet, I celebrate the wins. If I'm weeing better than I did yesterday, if I'm having to strain less, I reward myself. Yes, my body's working perfectly again. It may not be, but I'm projecting that my body is. If I go to the toilet, my bowels, and there's been some days where I passed better than I did the day before, I tap myself, I get excited, I'll go, well done. Yes, well done you. That's so good. You're doing so well. I'm telling myself I'm doing so well. Well done. You got through this today. You're walking that little bit more. You're finding new exercises. Incredible. Well done. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're taking another little step. You're doing something a little bit more. And I reward myself. I say to myself, my body works perfectly. I'm perfectly pain-free. I walk perfectly. My bowels walk perfectly. My bladder works perfectly. My legs are strong. My spine is realigned. My degenerative disc is healed perfectly. I'm in perfect condition. My body functions, works in perfect condition. I say these things to myself every single day, and I believe it every single day. And every single day, I'm able to do a little bit more. I'm able to do a little bit more. And I'm going to talk to you in the next episode about my journey in coming home. I've been home now for over a week. And what does that look like? What does that look like? What's going to happen next? And, how was coming home? How was that for me? Because as much as I've been really looking forward to being home, and I came home, on Monday last week, it was and it's been an interesting journey. And let's talk about that on the next episode. Once again, the only thing I ask is share this. If you've got a friend, a family member who's in hospital, who may be struggling and they need some help, they need some support, some positivity, hopefully this can help them. Just to give them that hope and that realization that you listening to this right now can get through anything. But the number one thing you need to do is to take full control of your mindset, of your brain, of how you think, how you speak to yourself, how you treat yourself, the things you say, the things you do, and especially the things you don't do. These things are so important, and we'll get into that stuff in the next episode. Share, like, leave your comment, especially share. If there's one thing I can ask, and it's the only thing I ask, is just share this. Share this with anybody that you can. If you know somebody that is struggling, if you know somebody that's in hospital, and either where they are or where they're not, if they need some support and they need to listen to something that's going to uplift them, possibly this can give them, a hope that they need. That's the only thing I ask. So have an amazing day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.